says Hichilema endangered the president's life and have charged him with treason. The party lawyer says the charge is politically motivated.
Hichilema risked the death penalty, but he had pleaded not guilty.
One Sean Tembo, every morning, his job is just to insult HH. Every morning, you check every posting.
It's like our president now is in great danger, whereby people who are facing criminal charges have started now going into his residence.
We are not going to allow any suspicious individual or individuals who like to enter or approach the premises of the president.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has thrown out a confession made by two traditional healers accused of plotting to harm President Hakainde Hichilema through witchcraft.
The Zambians witnessed this Masonic conference that was approved by the new donor administration, the first ever conference.
We are not going to associate ourselves with the so-called national prayer. Zambia in Article 8 of the Constitution is actually a Christian nation. We the PF are a Christian party.
There wasn't this sort of hatred I can touch, I can feel, because it is HH. It is this animal pariah we don't like.
And we urge all politicians to exercise tolerance, to exercise love for one another.
So, a couple weeks ago, the president said this.
There wasn't this sort of hatred I can touch, I can feel, because it is HH. It is this animal pariah we don't like.
And it got me thinking, is he one of Zambia's most hated presidents? So let's just look at past events. You know, from the past, there have been many allegations against our president. The allegations that he's a Freemason, a Satanist, and part of the Illuminati. We all know the president is a very wealthy man. Even before he got into politics, he had been very, very successful in some of his businesses. And even way before he got into becoming president, he had had wealth, which many people assume might have been through various stuff like Satanism, Freemasons, and all that kind of stuff. And recently, there's something that one of the members of parliament that belongs to the ruling party said. They're really against the notion of the National Prayer Day. So on the 18th of October every year, it's a National Prayer Day. It's a holiday. People go and pray, some fast, and do all these kinds of things. They spend their day in worship and praising God and praying. That's all they do on that day for some people. So one of these members of parliament said, this is just this prayer day, we do not actually believe in it. We just saw it as a stunt to gain votes so that the former ruling party would win elections from people who are highly religious Christians. And then one of the MPs or ministers said that Zambia is a multi-religious country, of which he is not wrong, but some people took it the wrong way. They thought they are changing the status quo of Zambia being a Christian nation. For those who don't know, in 1991, Zambia was declared a Christian nation, and ever since, that's what it's been known as. But some people saw what the minister or MP said as an attack on Zambia being a Christian nation, meaning they're trying to change Zambia into becoming a multi-religious country, of which Zambia is multi-religious. You've got Muslims, you've got Hindus, Christians, and many other religious groups here in the country. So then, a couple weeks ago also, there was a Freemasons conference that took place in Zambia, which sparked many people's interest. Now they're connecting it back to the president, saying that how was this conference allowed to happen here in this nation? If the government believes that Zambia is a Christian nation, why should these kind of conferences take place in the country? Is it the president who allowed it? Is it the government who allowed it? Of which there's this back and forth that was going on. I don't know what the conclusion to this has been. But even before this, we do know that our president once got charged with treason. And back in the day, we do know from the treason, we do know that treason, if found guilty when you're charged with treason, could lead to a death sentence or death penalty, or also I think life in prison. So our president got charged with this. But why was he charged with this? I think it was back between the 2015-2016 period when campaign period was happening. So during that period, the ruling party at the time, as well as one of the major opposition parties, were in the same city campaigning. So if you've read the highway code and you didn't buy your license, I'm sure you know there are some vehicles that you give courtesy way, or you give way to when you're on the highway. So like the ambulance, the fire engine or fire brigade, the presidential motorcade, I think even police, when their lights are flickering, you give them way so that they can pass. So during this period on the highway, the main opposition rival was in front of the presidential motorcade, of which, usually there are those bikes that, the presidential motorcade, the bikes and the vehicles, the sweepers. Yeah, the sweepers. Usually when the sweeper passes, it's supposed to move out of the road and give way to the presidential motorcade. But in that incident, they didn't give way to the president, of which they saw it as a threat to the president's life, and then the charge of treason was given to the current president, of which maybe treason? Maybe it was a bit excessive, but I don't know, it's just politics, it's the game that they play. So he was given that sentence. And even all through that period, he was incarcerated for months, even just treatment that he was being given from the ruling party at the time, whereby they denied him access to airports, to driving, to access to cities, the airports, and during the campaign period, he was denied all this. 4 months ago, there was an attempt on the president's life. So there was a witchcraft attempt. People are trying to put a spell or curse the president's life. They went to, I think it was State House, where State House, then it was the residence of the president, where they tried to do their black magic and voodoo, whatever that stuff they were trying to do is. But then the attempt failed, and the people who were in charge of that got arrested. Then also recently, there was a lady that stormed the president's residence in the early hours of the night because of, if I'm not wrong, there were some allegations that her court case was taking long, and there was all these, delays in her going to court and all this. So she decided to go storm the presidential residence, of which is a very, very bold move. Why would you choose to do that? I don't know why, but yes, maybe it's because of the hate that maybe she had towards the president or the current regime, or she just wanted a way to make sure her court case would move swiftly. Of which I heard that she's been sentenced. I think she's been sentenced and she's been ordered to pay, is it 100,000 kwacha? Something like that. I'm not really sure about the details of the court case and how it went. So all these events that have been happening have made me think maybe he is one of the most hated people. Because I usually listen to radio, as I said in my previous video, I listen to the radio shows, and people really say really nasty stuff against the president. A lot of people have been arrested for defamation, and we all know about the Why Me case. If you're not familiar, so Why Me was or is a guy who on social media says really critical stuff about the current government as well as the president. Of which I remember he had got arrested for, I think it was defamation of a certain individual online, because they're now cyber laws. But then after he left prison, he had been making now a lot of very vulgar videos against the president and members of parliament and just anyone that he dislikes or anyone that has attacked him in the past, but mainly it's against the current government. So still people see it as hate for the president and everything like that. But yeah, that's what's been happening. Anyway, people, let me know what you think about this whole situation, the president and all that's been going on. Remember to like, share, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you on my next video. Peace.